This is Brian Meador from East Carolina University. You are listening to the Sports Objective, the official, unofficial podcast of the Pirates.
Welcome in live from TowneBank Tower, Media Day. It's kind of a post game, if you will, for Media Day at TowneBank Tower. I am Dave Richmond here in the press box level of TowneBank Tower. Of course, we have with us Kyle from LaGrange Barber. How are you, dude?
What's going on, Dave? I appreciate you taking the bull by the horns and doing the cup for us today at the Media Day. You could have got a better backdrop, though. Couldn't you have gotten something with East Carolina on it, or maybe a view of the stadium? Could you? Yeah, you look like you're in a hospital.
Well, the stadium is like literally right there, but yeah. Bubba Rosenbaum, what's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. I hate that I was unable to make it down as planned, but since that could not be the case, I guess this is the next best thing. Kind of what Kyle was saying as far as the backdrop. Hey, I guess the backdrop now is kind of like our facilities were prior to Mike Houston's arrival and then John Gilbert and the current regime.
No good.
Well, I tell you what, it's a lot of excitement here today with Mike Houston. And by the way, folks, we have lots of great interviews we got today. Of course, the video and audio of Mike Houston, the press box, the presser, and then obviously we had their coaches. We had Donnie K, and we actually had the voice Jeff Charles stop by with us. We talked to him. And a lot of great players. So looking forward to, we'll have that for you this afternoon, this evening. We'll have that up. But we wanted to take the time to talk about Bubba. I know that it was a big day for obviously the last scrimmage. Fall camp is over with. It's done. And so a big day for the Pirates. I tell you what, that defense looking good, Bubba.
Yeah, the defense looked really good for a second straight Saturday in a scrimmage. And obviously, you expect it to go back and forth a bit, but at the same time, I mean, it's, with Holton not getting as many snaps, I guess it's maybe not quite as surprising. You have the battle for the backup quarterback playing itself out, as Coach Houston talked about in his comments, and we'll have those up on our YouTube channel. But Mason Garcia, and then also Stubblefield and then Flynn, they're vying for that second spot, and it doesn't seem like that job has been won yet, according to Coach Houston's comments. And then you also have Pop McKay getting a lot of carries. We obviously feel great about Rajay Harris and Keaton Mitchell, and now you're trying to solidify that third running back with Pop McKay or someone else. And speaking of other running backs, this guy's played a bit of running back, and then also here recently it was made known that Donnie Kirkpatrick and Coach Houston and staff made the decision to work Macy O'Donald, who is now a scholarship player. Congratulations to him on being awarded that scholarship after today's practice. But 5'8", 175 pound or so, Macy O'Donald, after practice, earned that scholarship. But he is out of East Carteret High School, Beaufort. I think this is his fourth year in the program, but because of COVID, he may still just be a sophomore. But Maceo, great young man from everything we hear from Coach Houston, very well liked by his teammates, and certainly earned that scholarship he was awarded.
And grew up right there in Beaufort, a very pirate-like place. So I would like to interview Macy and ask him what it's like growing up in Beaufort. It's a very unique place to grow up in.
No doubt about it. A beautiful area. A lot of Pirate fans have homes down there and condos and the like. And I know a lot of people like to go to restaurant. There are a lot of great restaurants down there, and certainly people go on vacation.
It's like a shrunk Charleston. It's like somebody took Charleston and shrunk it down to about a tenth of its size.
Very good point, Kyle. No doubt about it. We're excited to be here, obviously, guys. With hard to believe that it's about 12 days away from from Bank of America Stadium. And here we're here at Dowdy-Ficklen. But, man, that's going to be a great game with Appalachian State. I know the guys are, after finishing up fall camp, Appalachian State's now on the clock officially, and looking forward to that big game in Charlotte.
Yeah, no doubt
Coach.
about it.
Go ahead, Bubba.
We have Chuck chiming in on YouTube saying, how do the wide receivers look? I was thinking back. I know Tyler Snead was held out at today's scrimmage, and according to Coach Houston, that was more on his end than the athletic training side of things. Just to make sure that he's 100%. And Coach Houston said that he expects him to be full go at Monday's practice, so nothing of concern there. But otherwise, what did you hear, Dave? I didn't really hear a ton of comments in Coach Houston's remarks of about 12 or 13 minutes about
Dave, did you make the scrimmage?
No, I got here at the tail end of the scrimmage, so I didn't get a chance to see it. But as far as the wide receivers, Tyler Snead, I know, was out. I didn't really hear a lot about you're right, Bubba. I didn't hear much about the wide receivers today. So with not only Coach Houston, but just talking to the people around here, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Amatosho's had a good spring. At least he did early on. I know that. So see if Audie can live up to some of his expectations. I know last week they played Ryan Jones. Ryan Jones, is that the kid's name from Oklahoma?
Yes. Yeah, he's the tight end.
They played him in Snead's place some last week. So that'll be interesting to see where he actually lines up when he's on the field. He's very athletic. So if you can get the ball in his hand in space, he can make something happen.
And that's the thing, as far as the tight end, he is more of, I know with Gagg, they moved Brian Gagg to tight end. We talked to Donnie K, got a lot of great interviews, folks. So we'll have those up as soon as we can. We were doing the show and can't do two things at one time, obviously. But I know Brian Gagg is more of what Bubba traditional. He's going to be more of a traditional tight end, like a blocking tight end.
Him, but probably even more so than Brian at this point. Aaron Jarman, Eastern North Carolina product out of Lenoir County,
North Lenoir.
Yeah, North Lenoir. But great to have Aaron back at home, living out his dream of playing football for East Carolina.
Terrence Copper Jr. is on the team now. Speaking of wide receivers.
Yep, and he's also out of Lenoir County.
North Lenoir, another North
Lenoir high school product. But
Kyle from LaGrange are sending them that way.
As far as wide receivers are concerned, I know that Josiah Hatfield and Josiah have been playing on the inside in recent years, but just honestly had a tough time getting on the field. Tyler Snead's been so productive, so they bumped him out to the outside. Some people were questioning that move, but based on what we've heard from the coaches, seeing him day in, day out, and what he's done in practice, I think it's a move that will really pay off. I'm very interested to see what comes to that early in the season against App State in South Carolina. But
now, why are people questioning that move, Bubba? Because it's
just because he's a little bit smaller. I think 5'9", 5'10", but I think based on what I've heard Holton and Donnie Kirkpatrick say, I really like the move because Josiah Hatfield, when we've seen him against the likes of SMU, has made some big plays, and we've gotten the ball in his hands in a variety of ways, other than the passing game on reverses and jet sweeps, things of that nature.
Well, if he's one of our best receivers and one of our best athletes, you need to find a way to get him on the field, and you're not going to take Snead off the field to put anybody else in. Snead's going to need a breather, but if Josiah is one of the best guys with the ball in his hands, and you put him on the field where you can get him on the field.
And the fact that, guys, this is a good problem to have, right? Where one of the things that we've noticed all year long that we've talked about a lot is the depth. You hear a lot about that, but when you have before we had maybe the first string that was good players, but now we have multiple. I mean, you got second, third string that you guys can bring in. So, like you said, Kyle, you're exactly right. When you have a guy like whoever has basically what it comes down to. I was talking to Rick DeBrew. He's one of the players we have, and he was talking about that defense, guys, plug and play. I mean, there's guys that the safeties that are, they can play linebacker. There's guys linebacker that can play D line. Wherever they can be on the field, they're ready to play.
Yeah, I think the depth has improved dramatically. I think Coach made a good point the other day. we're older now and we have depth, but we're still really young, particularly because of COVID. You got
Right, no,
guys like at App State that are super that would have, had there was no COVID, App State would be an extremely young football team right now, and we probably may even be favored. But they got super seniors, as Coach Houston put it, and so we're still a young football team. We're still in that building phase and that growing process. But it's exciting to think about the depth we do have, and we're going to take a big step forward this year. I hope people don't get discouraged if things, naturally it's natural too. But if things don't go exactly like we want week one or even week two, I hope people, keep their heads up because this is a 12-game season, and I think we got a lot of wins coming this year.
You're exactly right, Kyle. And one of the things I talked about with Jeff Charles, voice of the Pirates, there's a lot of have you noticed, guys, with how great with our league is? But the one great thing about it with Houston, I think that you're alluding to, Kyle, is the very fact that the program was so low, and you take that program and building it up. Now the team, I believe, is where the next level that you go up to is competitive. And now you have a lot of that's one thing that Jeff Charles and I were talking about in the interview that we're going to post up here this afternoon or evening, or maybe tomorrow, is the very fact that there's a lot of 50-50 games on there. And like he says in the interview with me, you can win, you're going to win some, you can lose some. But the good thing is, hey, before we had it where we were just trying to be competitive. It was not even about winning games. And now we're at the point where we can win more games now than ever before.
Yeah, I think you saw the competitiveness start last year.
The end of the year, right?
Well, really all year. The only anomaly was Georgia State. Cincinnati was Cincinnati. They were doing that to everybody. The only one that makes you scratch your head and what the hell happened was Georgia State. Besides that, we were really competitive all year. Even a game like UCF where the score got out of hand, we were competitive in that ball game. So I don't know how fast the wins are going to come this year. I think we all think 6 wins is the benchmark, what we want. And I think that's definitely achievable. I wouldn't be surprised if we won 7. I wouldn't be surprised if we won 5. You never know. I think I look back, guys, if you want to compare it to other past Pirate seasons, this reminds me of 98, 99. Will it be a 98? Could it be a 99? 05, 06. It's one of those type seasons where you've got some talent and you could be good, but are you going to be right around 500 on either side of it, or could some things break your way and all of a sudden 2011, 2012 is another one. I don't think anybody saw us going 8-4 in 2012, and look what happened. So you never know; things can break your way, and what you think maybe a 500 season ends up being something better.
Piggybacking off on some of the points that you guys have been making, going back to the wide receivers, and Chuck chiming in on YouTube saying that C.J. Johnson needs to come up big this year. I really think he will. Last year, I think he finished up with 18 or 19 catches, and then also had like 15 pass interference calls that he drew. So in essence, he almost had right around mid-30s in terms of receptions, but still not the consistency and productivity. He's trimmed down. Instead of 230 or whatever he was the season ago, 225, 230, he's down 215, 220, looking much better, better quickness. I think he's become a better route runner, not just a deep ball threat. And so very interested to see how CJ comes along in these games early in the season and how he performs. And we've already talked about Audio Matosho. And then you have guys, such as Tyler Savage. You've heard his name a lot. Then also Tajee Hudson, pretty big athletic receivers who may get on the field and make some contributions. And we touched on the tight end position. We haven't even mentioned Shane Calhoun yet. By all accounts, he's the most complete tight end right now in terms of receiver and a blocker. And I really think Shane Calhoun, he had 5 catches a season ago. Don't be surprised if he has 20, 25 this year. And as far as the depth is concerned, you're seeing it in a lot of positions. Yes, at quarterback, you feel good about some of the options that you have long term, But in the short term, there's some things to be ironed out behind Holton. But you look at offensive line, Coach Shank and some of his remarks at Media Day were saying we have 8 guys who've started a game and then 10 or 11 who've played in games. And so that's a lot different than when he took over. And not only do you have some depth in terms of numbers, but you also have depth in the way of versatility. You have a guy like Fernando Fry who can play center and guard. Avery Jones can play center and guard. You have a lot of different options there with some of those guys I just mentioned, as well as others. Trent Holler's another one that comes to mind. On the defensive side, Coach Roy Tesh was talking about being able to have that depth that we have now, even though they're still very young, just freshmen because of COVID. But some of those very talented defensive linemen were able to roll guys in and out. In the defensive backfield, you have a guy like Tegan Wilk who had a pick 6 today. He's backing up right now a very talented guy in Jairo Wilson. So you really got to feel good about where things are headed. It's just a matter of being able to put it all together and go out there and do what needs to be done to earn the victories on game day.
Yeah, and one thing, with the O-line having some depth, last year we saw glimpses of a potentially great running game. How's Holton going to finally develop? This is the point now in Holton's career where it's time for you to have your Shane Carden, your David Garrard, your Jeff Blake moments, and not that he's got to go put up those kind of numbers, but he's at the point in his career now he really needs to start being consistent. That Tulsa game was as good of a game as I've seen any East Carolina quarterback play, from a leadership standpoint, from a just being focused standpoint. And, can he do that consistently this year? And I think with a offensive line with some depth to it and a consistent running game, I'm hoping to see Holton take a big step forward this year. And there's still some doubters out there. I hope hopefully Holton shuts those doubters up in the first few weeks of the season.
Dave, something else that stood out about Coach Houston's Media Day remarks when asked a question about the defense, fast, physical, the guys are covering well, DJ Ford, Jaquan McMillan, Malik Fleming, etc. A lot of good options we hadn't even mentioned Warren Saber, cornerback, cornerback and also safety. I'm very excited about all the options and depth we have there. And then something else that stood out: no serious injuries. So knock on wood. Right now, no serious injuries, and everyone's ready and available here 12 days out from App State.
That's the thing, is that one of the things that hurt us guys, remember in 2015, speaking of depth, is when you have your starting quarterback go down and you didn't have anything else pretty much in the room. Well, this year is the exact opposite. And then one of the things that common theme,
that don't happen anyway.
No. I'm just saying the very fact that the depth we have now is so deep that a lot of these guys, because of COVID, they stepped up. Injuries, COVID. You have guys that potentially could play together 3-4 years. I mean, this team is one of the guys I talk about in an interview today was the very fact of this could be like the 1990 team where, they get back to 500 and the next year is that Peach Bowl kind of year. I'm not saying.
Well, I used the example of 98, 99. Yeah, that's a good example. 90, 91. Yeah.
Yeah, where this team
all three of those are good examples.
Yeah, where people have the expectations. We're not going to win. Great if we were to win 11-1 kind of regular season. That's not going to happen this year. But I certainly could see. I'm going 7-5. Like I'm sticking with that. But Kyle, like you said, those games the 50-50 games that could easily be 5-7, only because there's one play that's missed, one little play that could be the difference of winning and losing. But I tell you what, I'll take that over the 2017 Memphis game or the games where it's over in the first quarter,
Yeah, well, I think if you look at the schedule, except for Charleston Southern, I mean, who do you point at and go, that's an easy win? I mean,
exactly.
Temple, I believe, is picked last in the league by everybody. And, up until last year, Temple had been a juggernaut. So has Temple really fallen that far, or is that because of COVID? I mean, So I don't. South Florida, they're going to be better this year in year two with their head coach. I don't look at anybody in this league and think, oh, that's an easy win. UConn's gone, unfortunately.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of close ball games, a lot of hard fought wars this year. I got a feeling there's going to be some games where we're walking out, some Skip Holtz type games where we're walking out with smiles on our face after about having a heart attack where we won it on the field goal, and then I think there's going to be moments where we walk out losing the game by a couple points. I think there's going to be a lot of close ball games this year. Should make for a fun season, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's going to be heartbreaking.
You just hope you fear when anytime you have a season like that, you don't want it to be like a 4 or 5 win season where then you lose 7 games or 8 games by less than a touchdown. So hopefully you say 7-5. I'm going to go 6-6 if we're giving predictions for the season, just because we got to get back to a bowl, man. It's 2014. Yeah. It's the last time we went to a bowl, technically January 2015, but 2014 season.
Right.
It's been too long.
Speaking of close ball games, obviously everything's magnified in those close ball games, including the special teams, place kicker.
Good segue, Bubba.
Place kicker battle going on with Owen Daffer, Carson Smith, Lath Margin. Owen Daffer has been very consistent, according to Coach Houston. Lath Margin, I don't know that he had a field goal attempt today, but he put at least 2 kickoffs in the end zone with nice hang time. And Owen Daffer made good on his field goal attempt that I believe was a relatively long one. I could be wrong, but those guys obviously looking to pick up the slack as Jake Verity has moved on to the Baltimore Ravens, and he made 42 and 53 yarders the other night.
Yeah, obviously it's hard to replace Verity, but from what I hear is, the kicking game looks good. So we should be able to hopefully keep rolling. If you hate to say we won't miss a lick without Verity, but it sure would be nice if that's the case.
You look at the punter. I mean, Bubba, you were a punter. You have not only John Young, but you also have Luke Larson. So you have the Australian kid and Luke Larson, and John Young has been here seems like 6 or 7 years, but no, I'm just joking. But both those guys, there's depth at the punter position as well.
No doubt. John Young and Luke Larson did a solid job a season ago. And when you think of Luke Larson, you think of that SMU game with him rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, as Chris Berman would say, on that punt early on that got the snowball rolling downhill, with SMU and went on to that 45-7 halftime lead.
Yep.
Great. That was a great way. And I think there's a lot of including, I think it was Holt Naylor's interviewing him, that it was like that was the moment that was the moment for this program for Mike Houston. Looking back, we'll be able to know when that moment was. But if you said right now, early in the Mike Houston era, if you will, it would be that game might be the one that really righted the ship for the Pirates, or certainly for this era right now with Mike Houston.
I think maybe it was the one where the kids finally saw they could do it. I think really starting with that Navy and Tulsa game, I knew they could do it. I think that at that point, I think it was obvious we were going to be able to be competitive with anybody we played in this conference from here on. I think the kids, because they didn't get a W against Navy, they didn't get a W against Tulsa. Tulane, ended up putting them away late. Then the disaster against Cincinnati, who was doing that to everybody. I think it was key. Beating Temple, I think, gave them a little confidence. And then SMU was the one that, it was they were almost in the top 25. They needed that quote unquote marquee win, I think, so that they believed they could do it. And, now we gotta continue it. And like I said, these first 4 games, if you look at our schedule, to me, 2-2 is what we need to achieve. If we can do better than that, that's even better. But you got South Carolina, you got App State, you got Marshall, and then Charleston Southern. Not in that order, but you really hope you can win one of those first 2. App's going to be real tough. Guys, you no disrespect to South Carolina, but I'm in the camp of South Carolina is a very talented football team, probably more talent than East Carolina or App State. But I just look at intangibles, experience, knowing how to win, knowing how to play as a team. I think South Carolina is the easiest of those two. I really believe. I'm not willing to throw in the towel against App State, but I really believe that we have the chance to have a special moment September 11th in Dowdy Fickle Stadium.
There's no question about it, especially Kyle. You made that great point. And something else is that the intangibles, App State, when they get on the field now, they believe they're going to win. It doesn't matter which coach they have. They've had coaching changes and they still win. And then you look at with South Carolina, I know it's a completely different conference, but still they don't have that confidence. They don't have that swagger that App State has had for a number of years. It doesn't matter what level or what conference they're in.
The last time App State played South Carolina, they beat them. The last time App State played North Carolina and Mac Brown, they beat them. So while some of our fans, and it's only a handful, while some of our fans think we're just going to go roll over App State, and by the way, we're a 10-point underdog, is beyond me. Look, pay attention, folks. They've been rolling for a while now, and like I said, last time they played North Carolina and South Carolina, they beat them both.
No doubt, and I think that's the thing is that we're the brand names people think, South Carolina, they don't think about App State. I mean, my gosh, App State beat Michigan. They beat Michigan in the Big House, and they were not at that level yet, right? FCS. So, and of course, 3 straight national championships at the FCA level, back to back to back, before they've got here. Then the first chance they were bowl eligible. What was that, guys? 2014, somewhere around there, I believe. I mean, they've been bowling while we were not bowling, they've been bowling. It was.
You realize it's been 14 years since they beat Michigan.
Wow. Yeah. That was the East. I was at that game, the Virginia Tech game. Bubba, were you there? I can't remember if you were.
Yeah.
That game. I was at that game, and I walked out, and one of my friends that was obviously a App grad, and he was smart. He got his master's here at ECU, but I called him because I was so excited for him that App beat Michigan in the Big House.
Yeah, I was following that App State Michigan game that day from Lane Stadium, going crazy on the walk back to the car.
Yeah, just
because of the magnitude of the upset, and love seeing such and that's going into that game. A lot of people would have called me crazy, but Michigan had struggled on defense. I remember Ball State going in there. They didn't win the game, but they lit up Michigan the previous season. So I really felt like if App State played the way they could with Armani Edwards and
Armani Edwards.
Yeah, the Armani Edwards. Everyone they had at their disposal that they could find a way to pull the upset, which they did. But going back to our scrimmage today, and we talked about the performance of the defense, 222 total yards on 74 plays, just 3 yards per play.
We lost Bubba.
Over there for a second.
Bubba, your audio is gone. But what Bubba was alluding to is good defensive numbers.
Hello?
We got you now. Go ahead.
Okay. A week ago, 41 carries, 65 yards. Today, 135 yards. And Pop McKay had 35 yards on, I think it was 8 carries. So almost, a little over 4 yards per carry for Pop McKay. So that's a great sign. And I really think that he would be that third option at running back.
He is really good.
Yeah, he highly recruited kid. I mean, I think he came here expecting to play right away, and he will. He's just got 2 really good backs in front of him, and let's hope nobody gets any egos. Let's share the carries. Be competitive against yourselves, man. Just if you want more playing time, go get more yards than the other guy when you get the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the great thing about Houston. He's building guys, building a program where the guys, like we talked about the defensive side of ball when I mentioned Rick DeBrew, plug and play. I think that's perfect. Plug and play. You got a lot of talent on this team. And when you have a spot on the field, then when you have a chance to play, then you better produce. And like Coach, Bubba and Kyle, when he was talking about Coach Houston, his press conference, talking about he didn't care about their names. He didn't care about where they came from, all that stuff. All he cared about was what they were doing on the field. Obviously, the character off the field, but what they're doing on the field is all he cares about.
Yeah, and I mean that's what you got to be as a head coach. I mean, you care about who they are as people and the grades and such. But yeah, what should matter is how they produce on the field. So.
Something else to keep in mind regarding some of these offensive numbers. Obviously, today was open to the public as Pirate Nation was able to go out to Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. So things are being played closer to the vest. In addition to some of those backup, the second and third team spots on the depth chart being solidified. So keep that in mind, Pirate fans. When you see numbers like the passing game was all quarterbacks combined 16 out of 33 for something like 87 yards. Obviously, that's not very good at all, below 50%. And then that low in total yards. But I really think that, we're in good shape, that's more of a reflection of the type of scrimmage it was and the defense being ahead of where the defense has been in recent years.
Yeah, typically you want your defense to outperform your offense in the scrimmage, typically.
Right. Yeah, because that's one thing I was going to say, guys, is the defense has come a long, long, long way. And we've talked about it several times. Don't you guys think if you look at that defense and with certainly with the one position that I think that we talked about last year was certainly the defensive line. They may be young, but they've got a lot of reps, a lot of depth there. But Bubba, how about, and Kyle, how about the linebacker position? That's one that has been kind of we've had a player here and there at linebacker, but that's the linebacker position really has really come on strong, I think.
Well, traditionally, East Carolina's produced good linebackers, so that doesn't surprise me that we're getting good depth there. If you look back over the years at East Carolina, that may be our best defensive position. Wouldn't you think, Bubba?
Sorry about that. I was communicating with Curtis Steeman of Port City Films, having him coming on to talk about this year's intro video. But what were you saying, Kyle, as far as
linebackers? Traditionally, is probably East Carolina's best position defensively in terms of producing talent.
I'd say so. I mean, just down through the years, defensive line is so hard to recruit excellent and develop very solid defensive linemen, and we certainly had plenty of those. But down through the years with the likes of Robert Jones and a lot of Mark Libiano, Jeff Carr, etc.
Pernell
Griffin. I mean, so many to name. And Harold Randolph, I believe he was a linebacker back in the 70s. I don't think I'm confusing that he wasn't a defensive end, but so many good, so many tremendous linebackers. Yeah, Harold Too Small, Randolph. But I think that would probably be the most consistent position defensively we've had down through the years.
Yeah.
No question, guys. What about certainly I want to remind fans to get your season ticket. Speaking of which, Bubba, I want to remind while we're at Dowdy-Ficklen, I was just thinking about we have our season ticket promotion. Want to remind fans as you got mines, obviously we're Media Day is so special. It's like Christmas Day for football fans, knowing that we're getting so close to the start of that football season. And we have our season tickets, guys, with our YouTube channel. Go and subscribe there. There's a lot of different ways that you can get your name out there and where we know about you and your chance to win a pair of tickets. How about that? A pair of tickets to the 2021 season.
Yeah, you need to go on YouTube, subscribe. All right, there you go. That explains what to do. You need to go subscribe to our YouTube channel, screenshot it, and email it to us to let us know you subscribed. You can also go post the screenshot on our Facebook page and just let us know you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll be entered in a chance to win 2 season tickets to every home game inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium this fall.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I tell you what, with this kind of season, this could be one of those seasons, guys, that you need to go ahead and speaking of season tickets, Bubba, I know that we've had a lot of great with Bill Clark Holmes getting the 6,000. That was a great thing for that single games for the upper deck. As I'm looking across the way there, that upper deck completed in 1998. and love to have that rocking again and rowdy dowdy, so to speak. But this could be one of those years, guys. You need to go ahead and get them, because you can say, I was there at that 2021 season. That was the season that Coach Houston turned things around. You could be here. Make sure that you dial 1-800-DIAL-ECU, or you can go to ECUPirates.com. Get your season tickets, because I tell you what, this year I just have a feeling about it. The players are at media day everywhere that I've been talking to people. If you're pumping gas, if you're around town, there's just something special about this team we haven't seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, will you be there when East Carolina beat South Carolina in an SEC opponent for the first time since the 90s? That could happen. Will you be there when the Pirates knock off a top 10 Cincinnati team? That could happen. Will you? There's so many things that could happen in Dowdy Fickle this fall. This is going to be the first season since 2015 that I believe there will be, and it's taking nothing away from the win against SMU. Nobody was there. And nothing away from the win over UNC under Scotty's last year. But there will be a moment, maybe multiple moments in Dowdy Fickle this fall that'll be special. And it's been too long. And I really hope it happens early in the year that we get one of those moments. I'm really hopeful against South Carolina. I'm really hopeful that we have one of those moments where it's one of those days you put in your back pocket and you remember in Dowdy Fickle. It's one of those 2010 NC State games, 2015 Virginia Tech games, 1991 Pitt game. Pick one. Those special moments in Dowdy Fickle history that you were there and you always remember.
How about that 2014 win over North Carolina as one of the most in recent times? That's one of the biggest ones. But how about Bubba? Can you put Chuck's last comment up? This is one I'm surprised that he says he hates Cincinnati more than State.
Chuck, let us know, why do you feel that way, Chuck?
I know why he feels that way, because he's like Dave, and he let what happened last year. He took it personal when it wasn't personal. I understand, but look, I want to be like Cincinnati. No problem with the Bearcats. That should be what we strive to be. That's what Coach Houston wants to be. He wants to be a physical, knock your dick in the dirt football team, and that's what the Bearcats are. And if we don't like it, let's do something about it. We get them Thanksgiving weekend. If we don't like what they did to us in Cincinnati this past November, let's do something about it.
And let's have a big crowd, because that game, as you guys know, is home, and that could be one of those. And not something else, guys. Who knows what's going to happen this season? That could be. Think about Ruffin McNeil. That game in 2015, they kicked the field goal in the end, Cincinnati, in Dowdy Ficklen Stadium in 2015, and that was the difference of going to a bowl and
fun fact: Steve Logan, Ruffin McNeil, Scotty Montgomery, all fired after the Cincinnati game.
Oh wow, that's exactly right. Wow, I hadn't thought about that. Thank you for that. And Chuck says revenge. You better believe it's going to be revenge. And I tell you what. That might be, guys. You were talking about great moments, Kyle. How about if you beat Cincinnati, and that's what?
Oh my God! Look, in that situation, that's going to be the last game of the regular season. Cincinnati potentially could be on the, if they go undefeated or even have one loss, they could be a playoff team. They're a number 8 preseason. So right. you talk about ruining things for them and potentially ruining things for the conference. I mean that would we might be ruining things for ourselves if we beat them, but God knows if we want to do it. I'm
talking about the difference in going to a bowl and not. That could be like where we're.
Oh yeah, we could be playing for a bowl and they could be playing for a playoff spot. I mean, Jesus Christ! If we beat Cincinnati this year, we're going to be doing something, because they're going to be one of the best teams in college football.
Oh yeah, there's no question. And all feelings aside, they deserve to be. If they are undefeated, they deserve to be in the playoffs. I don't care.
They played Notre Dame and Indiana this year. They're going to have their opportunity. Indiana's not what they used to be. That's a good Indiana football program now. So if they can beat Notre Dame, Indiana, plus run through this conference schedule undefeated, if they're not in the playoffs, it's never going to happen for a Group of 5 team until the expansion to 12 happens.
No question, guys. I want to ask you, Kyle, the news, sports betting. Did you see that where in North Carolina? Just want to get your thoughts on that. Where
you told me about it. I guess sports betting is legal now.
no, it's not legal. They passed it, the bipartisan support on Thursday.
Okay.
In the Senate. It goes to the House now. I didn't even think it had that much support, so I was just kind of shocked. It came out of nowhere. I saw it on WRALSportsFan.com on Thursday night. I was really shocked to see that because I knew that it was coming up. I just didn't think that it had any kind of traction. But I guess there's, as I say, there is a lot of money in sports betting and a lot of money in when it comes to lobbying. And when you have Republicans and Democrats, bipartisan support is something you don't see in not only in Raleigh or Washington. So it's something that I know Bubba talked about. It's the very fact that there's something maybe I don't support, but that gambling is going on whether we support it or not. And here's a chance, guys, where in North Carolina, I thought it was interesting that think about all the people that are betting online sites that are off the shore sites. They're going to charge them $500,000 for initial license, and I think it's $100,000 every year after that for a renewal. And they're only going to give 12 different licenses, I guess, across the state. So you're not going to have all these sweepstakes places to do it. It'll be like Harrah's or somebody like that. They'll have a sports betting place. So I was really happy to see that. It'll be interesting. It'll be great, Kyle. You and I could go to a game and, a sports parlor, like betting parlor, and we can bet on East Carolina.
Yeah, I'd never bet on East Carolina. I'd bet on other teams. As far as my thoughts on it, it's fine with me. I mean, to me, the moral argument was ended when the lottery was legalized. Gambling's gambling. So once the lottery was legalized, the moral argument was over. So,
and we have casinos.
Yeah, well, on Native American land. So, but anyway, it's fine with me. I'm neither here nor there about it. I don't really. I'm not a big bettor. I may now if it becomes readily available, where I can just walk in somewhere in Greenville and place a bet. But I'll never bet on East Carolina because to me it's too personal. But there are tons of other games that I may be willing to put money down on if it's a lot easier to do than having to go on. I'm sure it's easy online now to bet. I've just never looked into it. But if it's something you can do locally or regionally, I'm sure a lot more people will be interested in it.
No question.
Bubba, you have any thoughts on
No.
He's not going to do it. So, but like I said, I don't think most people aren't going to be losing.
It's a sin.
G Vegas, baby. There you go, Chuck. That's right. The G Vegas.
And Kyle, you know this. I've taken apart the last few years. Me and some other friends, and there'll be probably at least 10 or 15 of us. We'll pick about 15, 20 games every week.
I know, Bob.
Against the spread, but no, I do enjoy that, and it's a lot of fun.
No question about it. Guys, do you have anything before we go? Do you want to wrap up, or you have some more stuff, Bubba?
That's really all I had. We'll probably be joining you here shortly as Curtis Thiemann will be with us. He was wrapping up a birthday party for a family friend, and I thought he was going to be able to join us here right now, but he was on the way home, and so he said he should be able to hop on within the half hour.
All right. Well, we can talk a few more minutes. I know, guys, with Kyle, have you guys heard anything more about the conference realignment? That was another thing I want to talk about in our show here while we're at TowneBank Tower. Anything for the American? I know about the Bowl Alliance.
Well, I'm gonna have to bail here in a minute, guys. We got to get ready to head down to Fayetteville for a concert. But no, nothing new on the expansion front. We've kind of talked that to death at this point. I do think that if the alliance happens between the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big Ten, the alliance to end Hulkamania, as I like to call it, to try to keep the SEC in check. if that happens, and the Big 12 is left out of that, I expect to see the Big 12 go into panic mode. You better get in when you can fit in, boys. And I really believe that if they had any sense, they would be aligning themselves with the American. And maybe the answer is go to 20. Maybe, we got Navy. If you include Navy in on it, that's 19. And you add BYU, that's 20. And, boy, that's a hell of a league.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Yes, sir.
I mean, and you divide it up in two divisions, 10 each, East and West. And there should be some television appeal. I mean, you can do a lot of things with that. I think you may have to the only problem I see with that is non-conference and crossover games, because if you got a 10-team division, that's 9 division games. That only leaves 3 non-conference games, so that really eliminates crossover games. But you'd have to be creative with scheduling. But besides that, it would be a hell of a league.
No question about it. I'm excited, and I know that guys, we will be interested to see how that plays out. But that's something that could happen tomorrow. It could happen in the next 2 years. You never know.
It'll happen tomorrow.
I know.
It's going to take time. It will happen. Whatever's going to happen will happen before 2025. They're not going to drag this out until 2025. But guys, I'm going to have to get off of here.
Yep.
I don't know if Curtis Steeman's going to join us, if y'all are going to come back or wait for him, but I'm going to sign out and go Pirates, and glad football season's here and week 0 is upon us, and then Pirates will be playing in a week and a half.
All right, Bubba, do you have anything before we go?
No, just join us here in about a half an hour. We'll be joined by Curtis Steeman, East Carolina alum from Port City Films. He and his crew at Port City Films do such an excellent job putting together the video. A lot of times it is unveiled at Meet the Pirates. This year, the shooting dates did not allow for that with the necessary editing time. But some very exciting news regarding this year's intro. We'll see how it unfolded and talk about some of the logistics with Curtis Steeman here a little after 4:30.
All right, sounds good. Pirate fans, thanks for joining us. In fact, we have a lot of media day content we're going to be putting up. Thank you, Bubba, for all your hard work behind the scenes between myself and him. I appreciate you, Kyle, from LaGrange as well. Until next time, live from TowneBank Tower, you've been watching Media Day Special for football, and that's right here on the Sports Objective. Good day, everybody. Go Pirates.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Udon Cheek, assistant track and field coach at East Carolina University. You are plugged into the Sports Objective podcast. If you are a fan, you are plugged into the right place. And if you're really a fan, you will share that link. My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul. And I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode. Boom!